best phonetical sound that governs this symbol or governs this thing to where you can have how you're able to define it. You feel what I'm saying? So when you're understanding words, this is why etymology is important. Etymology goes that step further to the associations, because you have within etymology you have root words, prefixes, suffixes. Each part of a word has importance. Each part of a word has significance. So it's very important that when you're understanding the portions of a word, you're understanding how to say them the right way, how to pronounce them the right way, how to include them the right way. Because if you don't, you can literally change the frequency of how that word is supposed to be spoken, which can change the outcome of the reality that that word is spoken, which is impactful. Because I'm not going to go too deep into it, but there was a time in certain history where vowels weren't used, and because these vowels weren't used, certain consonant strings were put together. And when these consonant strings were put together, the vowel that would give the highest frequency will be inserted in that to give the right word. So when you look at the names of certain deities in those ancient times, they didn't have vowels, so it was a specific way to say that name. So if you didn't say that name correctly because you inserted the wrong vowels, you never conjured that name up, or you never called that name up. But I'm not going to go too deep into that. So if we analyze the full dynamic and the capacity of what words are, we can now tap into our own inner powers. You know what I mean? This is what magic is, in a sense. So when you have the etymology of it all, the etymology is pretty much just breaking the word down and understanding, like I said, prefix, suffix, roots, the origins of the word, have the archaic forms, the current forms, because each word, over time, they change dynamics, but you can never lose the essence of when that word was originated. If you lose the essence of understanding when that word was originated, that's how you can be controlled. So we go from letters stringing together to make words, right? Now, a very, very impactful piece and an important piece to words are their definitions. And the definitions are ultimately the combinations of the root word, the prefix, suffix, you know what I'm saying, and how that word should be expressed. You have, certain suffixes, such as like ist, that denotes, say, perfection. That denotes the pinnacle of something, like a scientist, violinist, pianist, racist. They have become they have perfected the root that precedes it. You feel what I'm saying? Since I brought up racist, I'll rock with that word. So racist, as a whole means somebody who has perfected the understanding of race, right? But then what is race? So we think race is just, the genetics of, well, it is the genetics, but before race has been called genetics in today's time and been associated with genetics and your ethnicity and all that other bullshit, it was originally competition. The archaic definition, the archaic form of race means competition. So when we understand these two dynamics, the competition, race is competition, and also race is genetics, means that race itself means the competition between genetics. Because you got to understand the full dynamic of that word. So a racist is a person who has perfected the understanding of the competition between the genetics, right? So a racist isn't inherently a bad thing. I know I'll catch flack for that, but a racist isn't inherently a bad thing because it's an objective expression. You feel what I'm saying? It's an objective expression. When the racist practices racism, that's when the problematic part comes in, because racism is now the impetus. Racism is fueled by the notion that once the races have been perfectly understood, you now have to fall into the hierarchical system of what the race is based on dominant versus recessive genetics. But that's a deeper conversation that kind of deviates from where we are. But that's just going into how words work and how words play. So again, you have prefixes and suffixes. Basic prefixes. Pre is a fix. Like even a prefix has a prefix in it. Like the word pre means before. So it's like the fixation of the word, what goes before it to offset. So you have words like awake, which is a very pivotal point, because I hear a lot of people say you shouldn't say awake, I'm awake, because it shows that you're actually in the grave or whatnot. But see, in addition to understanding in addition to understanding words, you need to understand the positioning of